The first time I saw her cry, it was over a cake order form. Not a breakup, not a funeral, a stupid white clipboard with a pink logo and 3 carbon copies, sitting crooked on the counter of Sugar Street Bakery while the espresso machine hissed in the background. It was a Tuesday in early fall. Outside, Main Street in Asheville was wet from a fast rain, leaves stuck to the sidewalk, cars throwing small waves as they passed. Inside, the bakery smelled like butter, vanilla, and something warm with cinnamon. The glass case glowed with cupcakes and tarts, and a strawberry cake sat right in the middle, like it knew it was the star. Mia stood behind the counter in a pale blue apron, dark hair twisted up with a pencil stuck through it, flour dusting her forearm. She looked strong and steady the way she always did when I came in at 6 in the morning for coffee and a muffin before heading to my job at the utilities office. But her fingers on that clipboard shook. "This is a great opportunity," the man across from her was saying. He wore a suit that did not belong in a small-town bakery and had a smile that never reached his eyes. The logo on the clipboard matched the patch on his jacket. Sweet Star Brands. Corporate bakery chain. I had seen their stores in malls and airports. All sugar, no soul. "We take over your supplier contracts," he went on. "We upgrade your equipment. You keep your name on the front for 6 months so the town adjusts. Then we rebrand. Easy transition, low stress." Mia's jaw tightened. "I did not ask you to come here," she said. "Your landlord did," he answered, "and she is worried. Your rent is behind. Twice. Your ovens are past code. Inspector says your hood needs work. That is a lot of pressure for one small shop. We are offering relief." I sat in my usual corner by the window, gray hoodie up, hands around a paper cup that had gone warm instead of hot. I was off the clock, but my brain never stopped scanning. Timers on the wall, the small red fire suppression tag above the ovens. The grease built up near the hood intake. The man in the suit glanced my way, then dismissed me. Just another guy in a hoodie. Good, I liked it that way. Mia did not look at me. She looked at the form. "What happens if I say no?" she asked. The man's smile stayed easy. "Then your landlord has to protect her investment." "I have always passed inspection," she said. "Past tense," he answered. "The next one might be harder. Or you could sign, and we will take the weight off your shoulders. You bake, we handle the rest." She stared down at the form again. Her hand moved like she was going to pick up the pen, then stopped halfway and curled into a fist. "I need time," she said. "You have 48 hours, he said. "We will be back Thursday with the inspector. If he is happy and your landlord is happy, maybe we do not need the contract. But you know how these things go." Quote. He put the pen on the clipboard, patted it with 2 fingers like he was tucking her in, then turned and walked out into the rain. The bell over the door jingled, too cheerful for how heavy the air felt. Mia stood very still, the mixer in the back whirred. Someone's kid laughed at a cookie shaped like a dinosaur. The rest of the world kept moving. "Can I get a refill?" I asked. She jumped a little. Then she blinked, like she had forgotten I was there. "Josh," she said, "I did not see you." "You always see me," I said. "You just do not expect me to open my mouth." Her mouth twitched, the ghost of a smile she had given me 100 times. "You want more coffee," she said, reaching for the pot automatically. "And a cinnamon roll," I said. "And an explanation of why a man who smells like a shopping mall is trying to buy your soul." She poured the coffee, set the cup in front of me, and then leaned her hands on the counter. Close, but not too close. She looked tired. There was flour on her cheek and a smudge of chocolate near her wrist. "It is nothing," she said. "It is not nothing," I said. "He brought a contract. That is something." She glanced at the door like she expected him to come back. "My landlord wants guaranteed rent," she said. "She is tired of small business risk." Her words, not mine. She told me I could either find a partner with more money than batter, or let Sweet Star come in and support me. Or she raises my rent and lets zoning and the inspector handle the rest. Zoning and the inspector do not just handle things, I said. They get invited. Mia looked at me, eyes sharp. You think I do not know that? I held up one hand. I think you know it better than anyone, I said. But I also think you have been waking up at 3 in the morning to bake instead of sleeping or reading code enforcement rules. She laughed once, but it sounded broken. I do not need another problem, she said. I need a miracle. I looked around the shop. The ceiling fans, the vents, the small grease filter above the oven hood. The calendar on the wall with a red circle around Thursday. Mia, I said, you need a plan, not a miracle. Quote, and what are you? She asked. A plan? Utility engineering, I said. City side. I seal leaks underground. I redesign old systems so they do not explode. I read boring codes so other people do not have to. And you drink terrible coffee at my shop every morning, she said. It is not terrible, I said. She raised a brow. I gave in. Okay, sometimes you burn it, I said, but your cake makes up for it. Her shoulders relaxed half an inch. I do not have money to rip out hoods and ovens, she said, even if I could do it in 2 days. You do not have to rip everything out, I said. You have to meet the numbers. Airflow, clearances, filters, documented cleaning. Inspectors like math and paper. I can help with both. Her eyes searched my face like she was trying to see if I was serious. Why? She asked. Because I had watched her give free muffins to kids who counted change with shaky hands. Because she had memorized my order even though I tipped badly. Because this place felt like a small, warm heart in a town that was trying to turn itself into a strip mall. I shrugged. Because I am tired of Sweet Star frosting on everything, I said. And because you make the only strawberry cake I have ever thought about in the middle of the night. Color rose in her cheeks at that. You are a strange man, she said. So I have been told, I said. A teenage girl walked in and ordered a birthday cake for Saturday. Mia took the order, smiled like nothing was wrong, and wrote the details down carefully. When the girl left, Mia stared at the clipboard. If I lose this place, she said quietly, I do not know who I am without it. I felt something twist in my chest. You are Mia, I said, who bakes like a magician and burns coffee like a sinner. The bakery is how you show it, not who you are. She rolled her eyes, but the corner of her mouth lifted. You are not a therapist either, she said. No, I said. I am a guy with a wrench and a boring city login that can pull inspection histories and filter schedules. Let me see your hood tags. Let me look at your service records. We will figure out what they can legally push you on and what they cannot. She hesitated, pride and fear wrestling behind her eyes. Then she reached under the counter, pulled out a folder, and slapped it in front of me. If you are lying, she said, I will throw a cake at you. I flipped it open. Receipts, cleaning logs, old inspection notes, some gaps but not as bad as I had feared. I am not lying, I said. I have eaten your cake. That is a sacred bond. Words came out of my mouth before my brain could stop them. Marry me, I said. I will eat every cake you bake. The line hung between us for a second, heavy and stupid and real. Mia's eyes widened, her lips parted. For one beat, I thought I had just pulled the dumbest move of my life. Then she huffed out a breath that turned into a half laugh. If you are going to joke like that, she said, put your name on the order. She slid a blank cake form toward me with a pen. My hand shook just a little as I picked it up, in the space marked name. I wrote it down anyway. The thing about writing your own name on a cake order is, it stops being just a joke in your head. I walked out of Sugar Street that morning with flour on my sleeve and the taste of strawberry frosting still on my tongue. The rain had slowed to a mist. Cars hissed past. I should have just gone to work, logged into my boring city system, and filed my reports. Instead, I sat in my truck out front with my laptop open, using my city login to pull every inspection record the bakery had ever had. The report loaded slow on the weak downtown Wi-Fi. When it finally popped up, I saw a pattern. 5 years of clean passes. 2 small notes about filter changes that Mia had handled. One warning 3 months ago about the hood needing a deep clean before winter. Then a new name on the last visit. Inspector Vaughn. New guy. New notes. More strict. I scrolled, frowning. He had flagged a lot of small things in a lot of places around town. Older buildings. Family places. The kind of spots big brands like to swallow. I sent the file to my own email, closed the laptop, and went into the utilities office to pretend to be a normal adult for 8 hours. I failed. All I thought about was Mia and that clipboard. At 5 in the afternoon, I was back at the bakery. She was wiping down the front case, hair falling out of its twist, apron smeared with raspberry. The bell rang when I came in. She looked up, surprised. "You came back," she said. "You still make coffee afternoon," I said. "That is brave." She snorted. "You are not funny," she said, but her eyes softened. I set my backpack on the corner table. "You got a minute?" I asked. She glanced at the empty tables, the quiet street, the dark sky outside. "I have 20, she said. "Then I start on tomorrow's bread." I opened my laptop and waved her over. "Okay," I said. "Here is the deal. Your record is good. The oven hood was flagged 3 months ago, but you got it cleaned. The note is cleared. The only thing they can push on is age and small stuff. Filters. Airflow. Clearance. They cannot just shut you down because your landlord is bored." Mia stood behind my chair, one hand on the backrest, one on the table. I could feel the warmth from her body even though she did not touch me. "And the new inspector?" she asked. "Vaughn," I said. "He likes to write long lists. He also likes it when people hand him neat logs and clear fixes. I have seen his reports. He is a pain, but he is not stupid. If you look more prepared than Sweet Star expects, he cannot just make things up." Mia looked at the screen, then at me. Up close, there were 3 tiny freckles at the edge of her jaw I had never noticed before. "What do we do then?" she asked. "We clean the hood and vents again," I said. "We swap your filters, take photos, and log the date. We check your exit lights and your fire suppression tag. We make sure your grease log is straight. And we open that stupid hood up so it actually moves air." Her shoulders slumped a little. "All of that by Thursday," she said. "Josh, it is just me and Ellie on the early shift. We bake. We fill orders. I cannot climb into the ceiling in between cupcakes." "Good thing I do not bake," I said. "I can climb." She gave me a look. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. I thought about lying, saying I just hated chains, saying I was bored. Instead, I went honest. "I like this place," I said. "I like you. And I am tired of watching good people get pushed around by money and rules they never got to help right." She stared at me. A long, quiet moment. "You like me," she repeated. My ears got hot. "Do not make it weird," I said. Her mouth curved. "I am a baker," she said. "Weird is our secret ingredient." She moved around the counter, pulled out a pass key and tossed it to me. "Back door is locked at 9, she said. "If you are serious, be here at 5 in the morning. Hoodie is fine, but I am making you wear a hairnet if you go near the dough." 5 a.m. meant getting up at 4. I said yes anyway. The next morning, the sky was still black when I turned onto Main Street. The bakery windows glowed warm against the dark. The streetlights made the wet asphalt shine. Mia unlocked the back door before I could knock. She wore leggings and an old college hoodie under her apron, hair piled on top of her head. No customers, Mia. Just real-life Mia. "You are on time," she said. "I like a challenge," I said. She handed me a paper cap and a hairnet. "Put these on," she said. "Health code." I did, trying not to think about how ridiculous I looked. She smirked. "Nice," she said. "Very professional." Steam fogged the kitchen windows. The mixer roared with dough. Ellie rolled out croissant layers at the far table, earbuds in, nodding to a beat only she could hear. Mia pointed up at the big metal hood over the ovens. "Vent panel is there," she said. "I had a guy clean it last month, but he rushed, I could tell." I grabbed a stepladder and my tool bag. "We will do it right," I said. The inside of the hood was a greasy maze. Filters, ducts, The fan unit. Not the worst I had ever seen, but not great either. I pulled the filters one by one and set them in a bin. Grease streaked my gloves. The metal fan blades had a thick coat of sticky buildup. Mia watched from below, arms folded, face tilted up. "I hate that thing," she said. "It cost more than my first car, and it whines like a toddler." I laughed. "It is not whining," I said. "It is suffocating. It will breathe better after this." Quote, "We soaked the filters in a degreaser bath, scrubbed them until my shoulders burned, and left them to dry. I wiped down the inside of the hood with slow, steady strokes, lifting layers of brown until the metal shone dull and clean. My arms ached. My shirt stuck to my back. It felt good." Mia moved back and forth around me, sliding trays into the ovens, piping frosting, calling orders to Ellie. Every time she passed the ladder, her hand brushed the lower rung like a quiet check that I was still there. "You okay up there?" she asked once. "I have been in worse places," I said. "Like, where?" "Inside a storm drain in August," I said. "Under a hospital that forgot what maintenance meant. Behind a middle school cafeteria dumpster." She made a face. "And you chose this as a hobby?" she asked. "I chose this as a break," I said. "You at least smell like sugar when I climb down." She laughed, real this time, not the tight, stressed version from earlier. By 8:30, the first customers started coming in. I climbed down, washed my hands, and helped Mia slide the clean filters back into place. I checked the fan motor, tightened a loose bolt, and stepped back. "Turn it on," I said. Mia flipped the switch. The fan whirred to life. No rattle, no strain, just steady, strong air pulling up from the ovens. Mia's eyes widened. "It has never sounded like that," she said. "That is because it forgot how to do its job," I said. "You gave it a second chance." She looked at me, eyes bright. Flour dotted her cheek again. "You did," she said. "We logged the cleaning with the date and our names. We took photos of the shiny filters and the cleared tag." I printed a simple summary and slid it into her folder. "If Vaughn tries to write you up on ventilation," I said, "you show him this and tell him to explain himself twice." Mia smiled slowly. "You really hate that man," she said. "I hate lazy power," I said. "There is a difference." The morning rush hit, and I stepped aside to my usual corner. Hoodie back up, laptop open. On the surface, it looked like any other day. But something had shifted. Every time Mia called an order, her voice rang clearer. When she slid the tip jar closer to the register, her hand did not shake. At 11, the bell over the door rang, and a familiar voice hit my nerves. "Well, this looks cozy," the Sweet Star representative said, stepping inside with Rain on his shoulders. Behind him, Inspector Vaughn walked in, clipboard in hand, gaze already scanning the ceiling vents. Mia's jaw tightened. She wiped her hands on a towel, straightened her apron, and looked at me for half a second. I did not nod. I did not speak. I just met her eyes and held them, steady. She turned to the inspector. "Good morning, Mr. Vaughn," she said. "Before you start, I have something for you." She picked up the folder with our fresh logs and clean photos. And for the first time since he walked in, Vaughn's face changed. He looked almost curious. Inspector Vaughn took the folder like he did not expect anything useful to be inside. He flipped it open with one hand, pen in the other, already ready to write a long list of problems. His eyes moved over the first page. Cleaning log. Dates, times, notes. My name and Mia's, written neat. He turned the page. Photos of the hood interior. Shiny metal. Fresh filters. A close shot of the new service tag with today's date. Vaughn's eyebrows lifted a fraction. "You did this when?" he asked. "This morning," Mia said. 5 a.m. Filters cleaned. Fan checked. Hood wiped. All logged. We can pull the security footage if you want proof of time. His gaze slid to the small camera in the corner, then back to the folder. The Sweet Star representative stepped up beside him, smile still smooth. "Inspector, the landlord is really worried," he said. "This is an old building. I am sure Miss Torres is doing her best, but these places can become a health hazard fast. It is Rossi, Mia said, not Torres. He waved a hand like names did not matter. Vaughn ignored him. He walked behind the counter, pulled his little thermometer out of his pocket, and pointed it up at the vent. Mia watched his face. I watched the numbers on his screen. The thermometer beeped. Exhaust is within range, Vaughn said. Better than last time. Quote, he checked the filters, glanced at the fan, and wrote something short on his clipboard. The Sweet Star guy's smile got tighter. Well, that is one thing, he said. But we all know ventilation is just part of the picture. Ovens, fridge temps, grease log. It is a lot for a small operation. Mia's shoulders went stiff. Vaughn started his rounds. He checked the walk-in cooler, opened the doors, aimed his thermometer at trays of strawberries and tubs of cream. He checked dates on labels, peeked at the grease trap log, checked the emergency exit lights. Why did you write this one like that? He asked, tapping a note in the log. That was the day the cleaning company did the trap, Mia said. They were late, so I wrote the time there to match their invoice. I have it in the folder. She slid the paper forward, hands steady. He looked at it, nodded once, and kept going. While he worked, I moved quiet in his shadow, taking my own readings with a small utility meter I used in my day job. Airflow at the back door. Temp at the register vent. Just in case. At the hood, Vaughn paused. These bolts were loose last time, he said. Fan shook like a washing machine. They do not shake now, I said. He glanced at me for the first time. You are not on staff, he said. No, I said. Utilities, just helping. His eyes narrowed. Josh Hale, I added. City engineering. You flagged my storm drain project on Walnut Street last month. Recognition hit his face. You are the one who sent me a 12-page email with pipe photos, he said. Code is code, I said. You were right on that one, I fixed it. He stared at me for a second. Then the corner of his mouth moved, almost a smile. You are thorough, he said. So are you, I answered. That is why we like you. Sometimes. Mia watched this exchange like she was seeing a new language. So, Vaughn said, turning back to the hood, you know what happens if I write this up wrong. It will not just be your word against hers, I said. It will be 2 sets of logs and my email later asking why your numbers do not match mine. The Sweet Star representative shifted his weight. Is that a threat? He asked. It is a promise to care about accuracy, I said. Vaughn snorted under his breath. He did another slow walk around the kitchen. He checked hand sink soap. He checked the thermometer inside the display case. He ran his fingers along a shelf and looked at the dust. Finally, he walked back to the counter and leaned on it, looking at Mia. Your hood is clean, he said. Your temps are good. Your logs are better than most I see. You have 3 small issues. He held up a finger. Label that tray in the cooler. Full date, not just day. Second finger. Move that stack of boxes away from the back door so it is fully clear. Third finger. Get your fire suppression tag updated within 30 days. It is not expired yet, but it is close. He wrote all 3 down in neat print. The Sweet Star guy stepped in. Sure, he said. But given the age of the equipment, do you feel this space is sustainable, long-term? That is the concern. That is what her landlord is losing sleep over. Vaughn looked at him like he had just asked if gravity still worked. I am not a landlord consultant, he said. I check for health risks and code violations. Today I see none that justify a closure. He tore off the top copy of his form and set it on the counter. Yellow paper, the good kind. Pass, he said. Mia did not move for a second. Then her shoulders dropped a tiny bit. Thank you, she said. The Sweet Star rep's smile never fully left, but it cooled. Of course, he said. We are all very glad. Still, Ms. Rossi, I would not ignore the bigger picture. Rent, repairs, competition. Our offer stands for another day and a half. He tapped the contract on his own clipboard. Think about peace of mind, he said. He left a cheap pen on the counter like he was sure it would find ink on his lines before Thursday. Then he turned and walked out with Vaughn, talking quietly. The bell jingled. The door shut. The bakery went quiet except for the hum of the cooler and the soft clatter as Ellie set a tray down in the back. Mia stared at the yellow pass slip like it might grow legs and run away. "You did it," I said. Her eyes snapped to mine. "We did it," she said. "You scrubbed that monster hood. You argued with a man who carries a thermometer like it is a badge." "He likes you more than Sweetstar," I said. "He likes data more than anything," she said. "You fed him." She picked up the pass slip and pinned it to the corkboard behind the counter, right beside an old Polaroid of her first day open. In the picture, she stood in front of the shop holding a half-frosted cake, eyes bright, hair shorter. She looked back at me now. Same woman, more tired, more stubborn. "So now what?" I asked. "Now I bake," she said. And I pretend like a man with a brand logo did not just say, "peace of mind," like it was something you can buy in bulk. "Your landlord is still a problem," I said. Her jaw tightened. She reached under the counter and pulled out an envelope. The landlord's name, Marlene Foster, was printed in neat black ink. "She left this yesterday," Mia said, taped to the back door. She handed it to me. Inside was a formal notice. Rent increase, effective next month, and offered to introduce corporate partners with resources who could shoulder operational risk in exchange for partial ownership. A note at the end, written by hand. "I want someone reliable in that space, Mia. Think about your future. You do not have to do this alone." My chest tightened. "Raise the rent, scare you with inspections, offer all partner," I said. "She is not very creative." "She owns 3 buildings on this block," Mia said. "And I am the only small shop left that is not already some kind of chain." Her fingers were white around the edge of the paper. "You thinking about taking it?" I asked quietly. She closed her eyes for a second. "I am thinking about the numbers," she said. "About my staff. About my parents. They put their savings into my first oven. They think I am a success. They do not see the late notices. I do not know how many more hits I can take." Silence sat heavy for a second. Customers chatted at a table near the window, unaware. A kid laughed at frosting on his nose. The world did not pause for our crisis. My eyes slid to the wall behind the counter. A row of cake order forms hung on a clip. Birthdays, anniversaries. One caught my eye. The one from yesterday. Name on order. Josh. Mia noticed where I was looking. Color rose in her cheeks. "That was a joke," she said fast. "You handed me a form and told me to put my name on it," I said. I followed directions. Her mouth twitched even now. "You still want that cake?" she asked, lighter than she felt. "I still want this bakery," I said. "Cake is a bonus." She looked at me, really looked, eyes dark and searching. "Show me your lease," I said. Her face closed off a little. "You already scrubbed my vents," she said. "I am not asking you to scrub my life." "This is not charity," I said. "I am not here to feel like a hero. This is a system. If they are doing this to you, they are doing it to others. I want to see the pattern." She hesitated, fingers tapping the envelope. "You think you can outsmart a landlord with a laptop and a wrench?" she asked. "I think I can read fine print better than Sweetstar thinks you can," I said. "Let me look." "You still get to decide what to do." Quote, pride warred with fear again in her eyes. Then she let out a long breath. "I get to decide," she repeated. "Yes," I said. She reached under the counter and pulled out a thick stapled packet. Lease agreement, amendments, notices. She handed it over like it was heavier than it looked. "Do not make me regret this," she said. "I will try very hard not to," I said. She shook her head and turned away, grabbing a mixing bowl, moving back into motion. "Go," she said. "Read. I have cakes to frost." I took the lease to my corner table and opened it. Old language, 3 renewals, small shifts in rent. A clause about assignment and subletting that made my neck prickle. Halfway down page 5, I saw it. A line that tied any, quote, Change in majority control of the business to automatic landlord approval. A line Mrs. Foster could use to force Mia into a deal with Sweetstar. Or a line Mia could turn around if she did not give up control. My heart started to pound for a different reason. There it was, the crack in the wall. I looked up at Mia. She was piping pale pink frosting onto a 2-layer cake, hands moving steady now, face calm. The light from the front window caught in her hair. A little girl on a stool watched her with wide eyes. "Like this," Mia said softly to the girl. "You go slow. You do not rush or it gets messy." The girl nodded. So did I. I slid my finger under the edge of that clause on page 5 like I could hook it and pull. If I was going to joke about marriage and put my name on a cake, maybe it was time to think about putting my name on something else. Not to own her, to stand beside her. I closed the lease, my decision chasing my breath. We had 1 day left before the Sweetstar man came back. And now I knew exactly where to hit. By Thursday morning, the town felt like it was holding its breath. Clouds hung low over Main Street. The air smelled like wet leaves and fryer oil from the diner down the block. I sat at Mia's corner table with the lease spread out between us, my laptop to one side, 2 empty coffee cups between us like tired witnesses. She traced the line I had highlighted with the back of her fingernail. "Any change in majority control of the business must be approved in writing by the landlord," she read out loud. "What does that even mean in normal human words?" "It means this," I said. "Your landlord cannot just swap you out for Sweetstar and call it help, unless you let her take control. It also means if you decide to bring someone in, you get to choose, as long as you stay in charge." She squinted at the page. "And that helps us how?" she asked. "Right now," I said. "You are the only name on this lease. She is trying to scare you so you will sign your control over to a company she likes. But this clause works both ways. If you stay majority owner and add a partner or guarantor, she has to look at the numbers, not just her feelings." "A partner," she repeated slowly. "Like who, Josh?" "I do not know any rich people who want to smell like sugar at 5 a.m. My heart thumped harder. "I am not rich," I said, "but I am steady. I have a salary, savings, and a boring credit score that landlords love, and I know how to read this stuff." She stared at me. "You are saying you want to be my partner," she said. "In a limited way," I said, picking my words carefully. "You keep the recipes, the brand, the decisions. You stay majority. I help cover rent and repairs, and I put my name on the lease as co-tenant and guarantor. We write it so you have final say on anything that changes the bakery. No chain, no rebrand, no surprise buyout without your signature. If Mrs. Foster says she wants someone reliable in the space, we give her one. Me, not Sweetstar." She leaned back, the chair creaking softly. "You thought of all that since yesterday?" she asked. "Since I saw that clause," I said. "I do pipes and permits all day. This is the same kind of problem. Pressure, flow, weak points. You find the valve, and you turn it the right way." She went quiet. The mixer hummed in the back. The smell of fresh bread wrapped around us like a blanket. "This is more than scrubbing a hood," she said finally. "This is your name on my mess." "It is not a mess," I said. "It is a business that got squeezed. There is a difference." She looked down at her hands, flour in the small lines of her knuckles. "What if it goes wrong?" she asked. "What if we fight? What if I fail anyway? What if you wake up and decide you do not want a bakery tied to your life?" Her voice was low and honest. "No sugar." "Then we do what every system does when it gets stressed," I said. "We adjust the lines. We write a partnership agreement with an exit plan. You always keep the right to buy me out if you want. I never get the right to force you to sell to anyone. We put that in plain words. Right here on this counter." She lifted her eyes, searching my face. "You have already thought about leaving," she said. "I have already thought about protecting you from being trapped with me," I said. "That is different." Her mouth twitched. "You really are a strange man," she said. "I warned you," I said. Silence settled again. The clock above the door ticked. Outside, a bus hissed to a stop. "What about you?" she asked. Why risk your money and your name for a bakery that might not make it? You like my cake, okay, but this is more than cake. I swallowed. Because I meant it, I said slowly. When I joked about marrying you to eat every cake you bake, I did not mean the wedding part, not yet. I meant the, I want to be here while you do this part. I meant I want to show up at 5 a.m. and smell sugar instead of office air. I meant I want this place to stand, and I do not want you to do it alone. Her eyes softened, then sharpened again like she did not trust that softness yet. Say it without the joke, she said. I like you, I said. I respect you. I want to invest in you. If that scares you, I get it. If you say no, I stay your customer, and I swallow it. But I am not going to sit in the corner and watch Sweet Star hang a sign where your name is. A slow breath left her chest. You talk like you are 45, she said. How old are you? 30, I said. I just got tired early. She smiled, small and real. Okay, she said. My heart stuttered. Okay, what? I asked. Okay, bring your boring credit score to the meeting, she said. I am not saying yes to everything. Not yet. But if Mrs. Foster wants someone reliable, let her look you in the eye and tell you you are not. Meeting? I asked. Mia reached into her apron and pulled out her phone. The screen showed a calendar event. 3 pages M today, she said. Landlord, inspector, Sweet Star, me. I said I would listen before I sign anything. She locked the phone and looked at me again. You are coming with me, she said. With the lease, the logs, and that line you highlighted. You sure? I asked. She nodded once. I get to decide, she said again. Yes, I said. You do. The landlord's office was on the 2nd floor of an old brick building that had been remodeled so many times it could not remember what it started as. The hallway smelled like paint and old paper. A faded plant sat in the corner, doing its best. Mia walked beside me in jeans and a clean apron, hair down for once, falling over her shoulders. She carried the folder with her lease and inspection logs. I carried my own folder, thicker, with printed emails and notes. In the conference room, Mrs. Foster sat at the head of the small table, gray hair tight in a bun, pearls at her throat. The Sweet Star representative sat to her right, tablet in front of him. Inspector Vaughn sat on her left, his clipboard on his lap, eyes neutral. Ms. Rossi, Mrs. Foster said, standing halfway. Josh, she added, nodding at me. I did not expect you here. Utilities likes to know what happens to buildings it services, I said, keeping my voice polite. Mia took the chair across from Mrs. Foster. I sat beside her. Let's begin, the Sweet Star representative said smoothly. Time is money. Some of us have more of it than others, Mia said dryly. Mrs. Foster's mouth thinned. As I said in my letter, she began, this block is changing. I need stability in my properties. Your rent has been late twice. Your equipment is old. You have no cushion for emergencies. Sweet Star is willing to invest in this space, bring it up to standard, and guarantee rent. They take over operations in phases. You get a consulting fee and a chance to continue baking under their structure. It is a good deal, Mia. Quote, for you, Mia said, you get a big brand on your street. You get guaranteed checks. I get my name on a sidewall and maybe a job for a year until they decide I do not fit the brand. The Sweet Star representative smiled like she had just proven his point. You are emotional, he said. Business decisions require distance. I leaned forward. Then let's bring some numbers in, I said. Vaughn watched me with that almost smile again. I slid a copy of Mia's current ledger across the table. Last month's receipts. This month's bookings. The notice for a big wedding cake she had just landed for June. The inspection pass from yesterday, highlighted. Her sales are up from last year, I said. She passed inspection with only minor notes. The hood is clean. Her equipment is old, not dangerous. She needs upgrades, not a takeover. Mrs. Foster eyed the papers. And if something breaks, she asked, if the oven dies, do you plan to fix that with a wrench and good feelings? No, I said. That is why I am here. I opened my own folder and pulled out a simple 2-page document, a proposal, co-tenancy and guarantor agreement. My name under hers, not above. I am willing to sign onto the lease as co-tenant and guarantor, I said. I will help cover rent and agreed repairs. Mia retains full control of her business. No name change. No chain contract. If she ever wants out, she can buy me off the lease. If she ever wants to sell, she decides to whom. You get your reliable checks. She keeps her shop. And we stay inside the majority control clause, which says she stays in charge. I tapped the lease clause we had highlighted. Mrs. Foster's eyes flicked to it, then to me. "You are going to risk your money for a cupcake shop," she said. "For this cupcake shop," I said. "Yes." The Sweet Star representative laughed once. "This is cute," he said, "but Sweet Star can offer a full remodel, brand power, bulk buying. And I am sure you have a nice slideshow about it," I said. "But that clause there means you cannot just step in and become majority owner without Mia's consent. She does not give it. You do not get it. Unless you want to try to fight your own lease language in court." Quote. Vaughn cleared his throat, speaking for the first time. "From the city side," he said, "I do not see a reason to push for closure if the hood stays clean and logs stay honest. We like local businesses that cooperate. I am not against a chain, but I do not have grounds to call this place unsafe." That landed heavier than any threat. Mrs. Foster watched him, then looked at Mia. "You will still be tight," she said. "Even with a guarantor, one bad month could hurt both of you." Mia straightened. "I know," she said, "but I would rather fight through a tight month with someone I chose than give my keys to a stranger who thinks my name is optional." She put her hand on the co-tenant proposal, sliding it closer to Mrs. Foster. "You said you wanted someone reliable," she said. "He is here. You wanted proof I was serious. You got it. If you say no, that is not about risk. That is about wanting a brand logo more than you want my rent." Silence sat down at the table. Mrs. Foster looked at me, really looked, like she was trying to see past the hoodie. "Do you understand what you are signing up for?" she asked. "I get up at 4 to fix storm drains," I said. "I can get up at 4 to eat cake and make sure the lights stay on." The Sweet Star representative opened his mouth, but this time Mrs. Foster lifted a hand. "I have heard your offer," she said to him. "I will consider you for another property when it opens. This one stays as it is." He blinked. "You cannot be serious," he said. "I am," she said. "We are done here." Vaughn stood, tucking his clipboard under his arm. "I will see you at your next regular inspection, Ms. Rossi," he said. "Keep your logs like that and we will get along fine." He left with the Sweet Star representative muttering behind him. The room got quiet again. Mrs. Foster sat back, exhaled, and then looked at Mia. "You have always had good cake," she said. "I just was not sure you had a plan." Mia's mouth trembled just a little. "I do now," she said. Mrs. Foster nodded once, sharp. "Bring that guarantor agreement to my lawyer," she said. "If he signs off on the language, I will sign the lease addendum. Rent goes up next year by the standard 3%, not the spike you saw on that notice. You keep your sign. You keep your shop. Do not make me regret this." She stood and left, the pearls at her throat steady. When the door closed behind her, Mia sagged back in her chair like a string had been cut. Her eyes slid to me. "You really just did that," she said. "We did that," I said. "You stood up to her. I just read the small print." Her laugh came out half like a sob. She wiped at her eyes with the heel of her hand. "If you tell anyone I cried over a lease," she said, "I will overbake every cookie you order for a year." "Our secret," I said. That night the bakery was quiet again. The ovens were off. The case was empty except for one small strawberry cake on the center shelf. "It did not sell," Mia said, holding up the order form. "If you still want it, it is yours. Name is already on it." She laid the form on the counter, same white paper, same pink logo, my name in her handwriting. "Josh." "Feels like a long time ago," I said. "It was 3 days," she said, "but it feels like longer." She opened a cabinet, pulled out a manila folder, and set it beside the cake form. Inside were fresh partnership papers, simple, clear. Our names, our shares, her veto on any sale, my promise to back rent and repairs within limits we both understood. She held out a pen. "If you are going to make stupid marriage jokes in my shop," she said, eyes warm, "and scrub my vents, and argue with inspectors, and risk your paycheck on my dream, then you do not just get to eat cake. You get to sign where it matters." I took the pen. My hand shook just a little. "You sure?" I asked. She stepped around the counter, close enough that I could see the tiny freckle at the corner of her left eye. "I am choosing this," she said. "Not because I am cornered. Because you showed up, and you did not try to own me. You tried to stand next to me. That is the only kind of partner I want." She tapped a line on the paper. "So," she said softly, "put your name on the order." My throat went tight. I bent over the counter and signed. First on the cake form, right under my original name. Then on the partnership line. When I straightened, she took the pen, signed her name under mine, and set it down with a small, decisive click. "There," she said. "Now it is real." I looked at her, at the cake in the case, at the empty chairs, at the hood I had scrubbed, at the door we had just kept from closing. "Last chance to change your mind," I said, half teasing, half not. She slipped her hand into my hoodie, fingers curling into the front like she had done that first night when she kissed me. "Marry me, huh?" she said softly. "I did say I would eat every cake you bake," I said. She smiled, eyes shining. "Start with this one," she said. She tugged me down and kissed me, slow and sure, warm sugar and strawberry and relief. Outside, Main Street was still wet and messy and full of traffic. Inside, Sugar Street Bakery felt like the safest place I had ever stood. And for the first time, my name was not just on a coffee cup. It was on the order.